Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for another episode of Antonio's Movie Reviews. Today I have Notes on a Scandal, a 2006 psychological thriller starring Judi Dench and Cate Blanchett, and directed by Richard Eyre and based on the book of the same name by Zoe Heller. The story centers around the discovery of one teacher's affair with an underage student. Judi Dench stars as Barbara Covett, a veteran teacher at the comprehensive school in London who befriends Sheba Hart, a fellow art teacher who has a troubled marriage. For me, this was a very captivating story that just got more and more intense as it went on. Judi Dench played such an amazing role in her display as the lonely sociopathic teacher. There were many parts in the movie that were for me outright uncomfortable, not because of the content, but just the feeling within the scenes themselves. It was at times maddening to watch due to the nature of the premise, but I feel that it was so well directed as well as narrated in parts by Judi Dench that the story feels very realistic and you find yourself almost feeling as if you're within the story. The character development within the movie was really good in my opinion, with the characters' dialogue really having a good amount of substance in my opinion. In my opinion, this story is much more one of manipulation as well as an illicit affair.
Recommendation. No change necessary.
Be novice. Is she a sphinx? Or suit is an abhorrence. It seems to say, I'm just like you.
The fact that Sheba herself was the new teacher and enshrouded in such mystery lent much credibility to the story feeling realistic in my opinion. Reviews I read, although praising the movie mostly, often state that the movie doesn't have much realism to it.
The blonde and the pig in knickers.
I just went.
Milk, no sugar.
Sweet enough.
Evidently.
The underage boy, Stephen Connolly, is played by Andrew Simpson, who was surprisingly 26 at the time of filming this. He honestly looks incredibly young to be 26 years old. Notes on a Scandal was nominated for 4 Academy Awards: Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Original Score. In regards to score, you may recognize the composer Philip Glass, as he has done the music of a lot of your favorite films surely, one of mine being Candyman of 1992. This was a noteworthy scene where the two teachers are introduced for the first time.
Stephen Conley, miss.
What?
Stephen Conley, miss.
Yeah?
Year 10, miss.
1 minute you're an inert lump, the next you're trying to castrate a fellow pupil. Nothing occurred between...
He was saying stuff about miss. He was buying out of order.
The mastery of which Judi Dench plays this lonely, creepy friend of Cate Blanchett's reminds me of Single White Female in some aspects.
I'd better... Oh, I'm sorry. We haven't met properly, have we? I'm Sheba Hart.
Barbara Covett. Never had a filling. The complexion of a white peach.
After Barbara helps Sheba with that difficult situation, the two become friends and Sheba ends up inviting Barbara to lunch with the family. Keep in mind that Barbara basically spends her spare time writing in her journal, taking care of her old cat Portia, and basically just having overall contempt for most people in her life aside from her old friend Jennifer Dodd, who apparently just disappeared. Introduced to Sheba's family, which includes her husband Richard Hart, who is played by Bill Nighy. I really like his performance. Her youngest child Ben has Down syndrome and her daughter is named Polly, a teenager.
Hang on. I'm Richard. Come in.
Sorry.
I've got brandy knocking around.
Dry white wine.
Done. Have a seat.
Be Polly. I'm Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Excuse me?
You're all poshed up.
Oh, are you interested in wine?
Only the drinking part.
I'd anticipated a suave young lawyer. She's married some crumbling patriarch. He's nearly as old as me.
This is what I mean about Barbara and her snide remarks. She's like the epitome of someone being two-faced. Sheba had a happy life on the surface, and that makes the burden of this secret that much harder for her to bear, I'd imagine. Her husband Richard may be a bit older and her 2 children might at times be a lot to deal with, but I simply find it hard to see how she could go through with choosing an underage boy personally. To me, the first half of this movie is a lot stronger than the latter in the sense of it pretty much becomes a drama afterwards. At this point in the movie, I'm honestly intrigued, even though there was some predictability.
A gold star day. I share the ability to see through the quotidian together. visiting galleries, traveling, putting the world to rights. It's taken. I'm saving it for Sheba. Sorry.
When Barbara discovers her new friend in the classroom with 15-year-old student Stephen Connolly, this movie really begins, in my opinion. The suspense for me was building because the plot at this point had become captivating. Like, I kept thinking that this very conservative, straight-laced woman would easily involve the police, but she ends up deciding against that ultimately in what I honestly believe is my favorite part about Judi Dench's role: her deceitfulness and ability to manipulate Sheba. Guilt, maybe? After Barbara witnesses the encounter, she promptly calls Sheba to let her know she was seen and that they need to have a talk, which must have scared the living daylights out of Sheba.
Hello?
I need to speak to you about Stephen Connolly. You're aware you've committed a criminal offense. I'll be with you at 5. You must inform me of everything.
Barbara basically demands to know everything, only to find out that the affair had already started when she first met Sheba, while breaking up the fight that Stephen had with the other student. We see a lot of Andrew Simpson's acting, and I have to appreciate him. He really did the teenage adolescent thing well. You'll see what I mean later in the film. This kid reminds me a lot of Mark Wahlberg in his earlier days. If there were ever a remake of the movie Fear, then I would definitely cast someone like Andrew Simpson in that role. These scenes, in my opinion, build a considerable amount of tension. It flashes back to Sheba telling her story.
Anymore. You refused to accept it. You just kept coming back. It began to feel like our secret, and secrets can...
Do you want to come for a walk? You've been taking it out on me.
His father had been hitting him. He didn't want to tell his mum because she was...
You're beautiful, miss. You don't know how beautiful you are.
allowed it to happen.
The boy is 15.
Sheba continues telling the story of this illicit affair when we begin to realize that this has been going on for quite some time. Sheba had allowed it to happen, as she had just stated to Barbara. The truth is that I believe Sheba is lonely herself, and that is one of the reasons she allowed this relationship to evolve with Stephen into what it has become. Stephen apparently makes her feel incredibly wanted, something she hasn't felt in some time.
Make yourself comfortable.
Does anyone know you're here?
Ain't that that kid? I won't tell no one. You can trust me.
It's honestly quite unbelievable that a woman such as Sheba would even find it necessary to do such a thing as to go for a minor. It pains me to say that this is the first Cate Blanchett movie that I've seen, and as far as Dame Judi Dench, she was well known to me as M from the James Bond films. After seeing this film, I respect both of these actresses and look forward to seeing more of their work. I think that a movie like this today would make a lot of actors uncomfortable, at least more so today than it would have in 2006 when this movie came out. Especially with regard to Cate Blanchett's role, I can't see a lot of actresses doing that. Barbara realizes at this point the vulnerability of Sheba and how much power the ownership of this secret will give her over her.
I'm incredibly grateful. You've been such a good friend. I so wish I had.
Fury had blinded me. There was a magnificent other prize, long-term, forever in my debt.
I know you have to tell them.
I'm not going to report you. I want to help you to school, but the affair must end. Your solemn
Barbara tells Sheba that although she will retain her secret, that she must end the affair with Stephen, which of course Sheba agrees to. We see Sheba's daughter, who appears to be the same age as her lover, having recently lost her own mate. Sheba comforts her noticeably, but doesn't really give her any advice, as she appears to be pretty well versed on the mentality of adolescent boys herself. I really didn't understand that part. Sheba's daughter Polly is played by Juno Temple, another English actress who you might recognize from Atonement and The Dark Knight Rises. I truly enjoyed reading the history of the British Christmas crackers and thought it sounded like a very fun tradition. Honestly, with last year, I'm even looking forward to fun on Christmas again, even though we're just entering spring.
All right, well, I am happy to give I am happy to speak to Torian parents. I'm none of the kind.
She's beautiful.
thank God, and it's got her through. But it's not quite the...
Happy Christmas.
What are you doing here? Everyone's inside.
Thank you.
What's up? Haven't heard from you.
The nerve of this kid to show up at her house with a Christmas gift and all. I honestly feel like my 15-year-old self would have done something like this as well. Lust is a very powerful thing.
With her awful family. Our lives are acutely similar.
Belated Christmas present.
Thank you.
Any good?
Sure, she's had a very happy life.
Oh, yes. She has. I don't want to disturb your weekend.
It's fine. Everyone's out.
The relationship is ultimately strained when, of course, we notice Sheba does not end the relationship with Steven and is hiding that from Barbara, who is upset over the health of her cat. Sheba seems dressed a bit fancy, Barbara of course notices as well. Sheba seems to be getting slightly agitated with Barbara altogether. She must have plans of some sort.
There's someone in your garden. He came over the wall.
Oh, it's probably just...
Hello?
You, Barbara! Barbara, sorry, I'm so sorry.
Crueler than the adolescent boy, I know them. Once he's had his fill, he'll discard you like an old rat. End it now.
Yeah, I don't think...
Sheba goes to Steven's house only to discover that he, of course, has lied to her about his kind father beating him and his mother being ill. It was hard to find Sheba, an art teacher, could be so naive. Sheba ends up basically as Barbara said she would.
They're gonna expel me now.
No, they won't.
And you've been cool, and it's been great. Okay? But it was supposed to be fun. You're working out, you know, your husband, your kid, you.
You would think that with Steven and Sheba ending things that Sheba might be in a much better position, but things are really just beginning for her in a way. Who does she call? Barbara.
She has nowhere to turn but trusty old bar. This one. She's the one I've waited for. Fire. Forging our friendship with a stronger bond each. Now, more than ever, we are bound by the secrets we share.
We see Barbara take Sheba to her favorite spot where we learn of her missing her other once special friend Jennifer Dodd, who was also a teacher at the school they both teach at. We find out a bit more about Miss Dodd and Barbara's relationship toward the end of the film.
I've such a dread of ending my days alone.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
The scene of Barbara sharing her dread of ending her days alone was an important one, as well as this scene with Barbara's cat. To me, this scene ended up becoming the climax of the movie. I just believe that Judi Dench's performance was stellar in this scene. A bit sad.
Will you come with me? I just can't on my own.
Of course I would. It's just the place, actually.
Someone has died.
I know. Child. He's my son. He's just a little boy.
Don't play. They can explain perfectly. Would you like me to?
No, it's just a Barbara's had some very bad news about her cat.
My condolences.
To blow!
Oh, for God's sake, get in the bloody car!
Give me a minute! Will you? I can hack.
Carefully, madam. Be aware of the consequences.
Barbara, please don't make this mean any more than...
Barbara, that was the ultimate betrayal. I also really enjoyed Bill Nighy in these parts, and he gets better as the movie progresses. That night, Barbara is visited by one of the male teachers who is there ironically to ask if Sheba is interested in him. Barbara, I believe, did not truly understand the ramifications of what she was about to disclose to Brian, played by Phil Davis. At that point, Barbara also incriminated herself.
Do you think you could have a word with her and just suss the...
Be her type.
She's got a type, then.
Younger man. Surprisingly young. You might know the boy in question. You say the words, and it's done.
Just when it seemed as if Barbara and Sheba were happy again, one of the most suspenseful parts in the film arises. This must have really sent chills down Barbara's spine.
Yes?
Are you her husband?
What? Whose?
Don't you dick with me. He's only a child! We boy! It's a child! What the hell is...
Yes, Sheba found out firsthand that it looked like Steven's mom was going to pull through from her illness just fine. The entire incident plays out in front of her totally oblivious family, with Barbara pretending to be clueless as well. The next day, the two are fired from their teaching positions and the scandal becomes known to the press, who eat this story up.
I've told you, Headmaster. Had I known anything, I would have informed you immediately. My only lawyer...
I think it would benefit everyone if you take it early, with immediate effect.
So it's a witch hunt. Salem where Jennifer became unwell. That's why she had to leave the school.
Here's the headmaster had spoken to Barbara's old friend Jennifer Dodd, who stated that Barbara had stalked her before and that she in fact has a restraining order. We finally see Steven again and he is highly upset with Barbara. This is another important scene because everyone had assumed that the boy had informed the teacher who reported it. He knows the truth.
Oh, there. Leave. Can I come stay with you just for a few days?
Fucking lousy wife. Why didn't you come to me? You could have told.
Has been the most delicious time of my life.
Sheba's husband Richard asks her to move out and she ends up moving in with Barbara, who seems deliciously smitten with the idea. At this point, Sheba still has no idea of Barbara's role and how she was found out. When Sheba discovers Barbara's diary and all of the brutal things that she has written about her and her family, she is overcome with anger and we're forced to sit in suspense and wait to see what she is about to do to Barbara. I honestly wasn't ruling out murder. I was thinking of true betrayal and Sheba's life being totally ruined in all aspects. Wait, isn't it wrong to read someone else's diary though?
What you say about me. Because I didn't help you collect your cat. You've got...
You need me. I'm your friend.
You put me in prison. I could get 2 years. They'll fucking tweezers.
Don't you know it's rude to read a person's diary? It's private.
Companions. When...
During this fight, I honestly found myself turning away when Sheba would strike Barbara because I didn't want to see anything happen to her. Sheba is subsequently sentenced to 10 months after returning to her husband. I really enjoyed this movie. It was honestly not one I thought I'd find myself watching, but doing movie reviews has forced me to broaden my horizons. All in all, I really enjoyed the storyline and it kept me interested the entire time. Although there are a few graphic scenes, there isn't any nudity in the film that I can truly recall, and I enjoyed how tasteful it was in that regard, while still having this sort of central idea of lust. And thank you everyone for joining me on my review for Notes on the Scandal 2006 and another episode of Antonio's Movie Reviews. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.